Ex-prisoners of Reddit, what was the scariest thing you've seen on prison? The cartel cornered me because they thought I snitched on them for a cell phone. Dozens of eyes staring me with the intent to kill, until my ex-bunkie, one of the leaders, came over and vouched that I was legit and never said a thing about the stuff he did. The guy they were really looking for checked into solitary the next day, and I was cool again. Inmate who was suicidal and selling heroin ate everything and died. Some years ago I was at high-security prison for 8 months. One time we were walking to the rec yard, this one guy jammed a steel rod into the back of the guy in front of him. Blood coming out of his mouth like vomit. Having to walk by that dude, acting all casual not to cause concern from guards, was like a inauguration to adulthood. Steel rod was this training device, manuals. Edit. Sorry about bad grammar. The thing about the steel rod, just trying to explain what it was. Not a prisoner, but a former prison guard. One of our corporals got stabbed over 30 times, with no one around to help. Blood spray had practically painted the office red. Amazingly, he survived, but never came back. Another officer got beat so bad he was unrecognizable, all for a stupid gang initiation. Only death during my time was a guy that was improperly restrained, in the dark, without a camera, and he choked to death because he was wearing too many clothes and had toilet paper in his nose, because he knew the CERT prison SWAT team was coming to get him. My cousin at the mental health prison had some wild stories. A guy with his testicle on a spork. Another would open his abdominal stitches and play with his own intestines. I could not imagine working there. Someone super close to me was in prison, and it was scary for me too because he had been a cop and so had to go to a special prison with people that had to be separated because they were cops, mobsters, gangsters, etc. At first he got visitors from multiple friends, but eventually I was the only one visiting him and he had very little contact from anyone, not even family. Then when he got out it was like he was a shell of the man he used to be. He was intimidated by people and cowered away from people just in like the supermarket. It was so weird seeing a once confident and strong man turn into a timid and scared one. Not a prisoner myself, but heard from a friend that you have to shit in front of other prisoners. It's a nightmare for someone with pachypresis and anxiety issues like him, to poop without privacy. On top of that, he was jailed for a crime he didn't really did but got involved in as he was part of the group. Sucks man. Also, he told stories that some isolation cells like those for suicidal prisoners had just a simple hole to do all your business, not even a toilet bathroom. Never did any serious time, but I was in and out of county jail a handful of times in my younger years. One fucked up thing: racism. It's encouraged and the whole system is built around it. You have to hang out with your own. As a light-skinned Rodriguez, that caused a little issue for me. Next is the extortion: food, money, goods, services, whatever you can think of, it's in short supply and high demand. Fish are easy prey. You can pretty much take anything from them with the promise of protection, friendship with no follow-through. The prices of items in the commissary are ridiculous. A Lunchable that's $2 at your grocery store is $5 in jail and 3 weeks expired. Guys cutting their dick. Not prison but in jail. After the first few weeks of getting visitors, there was a period where no one came to see me. Being shut off from the world and feeling like everyone else is moving on without you is scary. Not in prison, never been. But when I was at school, we were given a talk by an ex-prisoner in the U.S. One of the things that I still remember him saying was when he saw someone take another inmate's head off with a shovel. Apparently it took quite a few attempts to get the whole thing off. An old lady in the cell next to mine started like a moaning wailing sound and said she didn't feel right. We were all yelling for the CO's overhead intercom system on the old Cook County Jail. By the time the lazy bastards decided to haul their asses to her room, it was too late. She died from something like a heart attack or stroke. That may not sound scary, but until you hear someone in a cell next to you die in the dark, so close to people who are supposed to help, you can't imagine the scariness. That messed me up for a long time. And it wasn't the only time something like happened. There were suicides, drug overdoses, terminal illnesses, violence. But that one old lady never left my mind. A guy that gave himself a Prince Albert while he was locked up. He was very proud and liked to show it off. And #X200B. Edit. Corrected typo. Wasn't in prison, but I've been wrongfully thrown in asylum during an insurance scheme. I saw a kid get his hand broken for no goddamn reason. I saw people thrown in isolation and put in straitjackets just for standing in the wrong place, and worst of all I saw a kid pinned down crying his eyes out, screaming for help whilst being held down by 3 adults as a fourth administered a tranquilizer. Those places are cruel and unusual and have no place in modern society. I saw a guy get shanked and bleed out. I saw a guard beating a black guy for no reason. Former Norwegian inmates, raw food. I've seen a guy read a book of how to use your prison pockets with a sledgehammer next to him. He was a worker at a renovating building. NSFW, be warned, this is very gruesome. Probably the time a new inmate got stabbed 10 times in the chest by his cellmate, cut his head nearly off, and chopped one thumb off as a little charm. Rumor was he knew his cellie before prison, and obviously they didn't like each other. Another rumor was that the prison set him up to be in his cell, just so he could kill him. Wouldn't doubt it, as prison guards are just as corrupt and dangerous as the inmates. You hear all these suicides in prison when really it's a complete setup by the guards. This is why nobody is your friend when you're behind bars, even the ones you trust the most will turn on you. This is also why you don't want to go to prison. Edit. Grammar mistakes, oops. The worst on prison was the Dementor. I never had a real scary moment, but there was an unsettling day at our facility. This kid, T-Trailer, was everyone's homie and we all talked to him. He was one of the star football players and so he was released on Friday. He was shot and killed on Sunday. The next day, the POs let us know. It was quiet for the whole day, and it even started raining. Dark, gray gloomy skies. Rest in peace. Not me, but my mom worked at the prison for a bit. One time she told me about how one of her workers went to take a shower. He was a germaphobe, so he showed like 5 times a day. One time they told him not to do it. As he walked in there was only one other person. The guy was in the corner with his eyeball hanging from his head. Was really shocking, the guy said. Even with that guy eye hanging, the other guys still showered. IDK what happened after that, but sounds like it was messy. Not me, but I got told this story a few years ago and I warn anybody before continuing, it is highly graphic. Rape warning. So there was a guy who lived in this foster system that my friend was in. He got sent to prison for raping his grandmother to death. Actually happened, I will try to find the news article. And when he got sentenced, a few inmates found out what he did and took him into the showers and proceeded to shove a wooden broom up his ass until it was gushing blood, then poured soap, shampoo and whatever else they could on the now tore asshole so that it would be harder to clean and heal. I think he died from some internal injuries later that day or week. A good friend's brother got out after serving 2 years. I asked him this question. Not the most messed up, but what I found most fascinating. He said he was forced to help some whites jump a big fat black dude in his cell. He said they went in and just started punching him all over. He said he punched the guy so hard in the side of the head that his eyeball popped out of its socket. I am not sure what to call it, so I'm gonna anal spillage. A prison mate a few cells down from me got his anus destroyed and for like 3 days shit and blood just spilled out of his ass in random intervals during the day. Honestly, detention was bad. 30 minutes of isolation will change a man. Where did he plug in the curling iron? The lack of respect. Probably not scary in the way you're expecting. My uncle did 5 years for armed robbery in Australia in the early 80s. He got hepatitis on shaving day. Periodically all the prisoners would be rounded up and forced to shave. One at a time. Same sink. Same razor. No exceptions. The practice was eventually abolished due to AIDS. He had plenty of fight stories, and stories about beatings by the screws, but that's the one that sticks with me. Okay, so I went to prison for about a week. I am Sicilian, and while I was in there I saw a guard getting beat in the halls. After reading these I can say people are really fucked up. Mostly just fights. I was never involved in any of them though. I bleach. Thank me later. Dementors. Another inmate's erect penis after I got shivved in the shower. That's just a little joke. I haven't actually been to prison, it happened in the locker room at my gym. It's funny seeing all the people on here calling a bunch of stories fake. These are probably people that have never been to prison and would shit their pants if they did go. People don't seem to realize prison is literally a jungle. No show or stories cold prepare you for what you will see in there. The things people come up with in there are out of this world. The things you see in there will haunt you for the rest of your life. Didn't know you could get to prison on Reddit, shocked face. Not an ex-prisoner, but have you seen the live version of Human Centipede? I had. The door lock. I saw a fight break out. Walk-in closet. Bubba, don't ever look or speak or get near Bubba. Does mental prison count? I was in the adult holding area of a mental hospital. This guy was on spice, and he was bugging TF out. The next day his trip was over and he was a normal dude again. Then he came in the next night yellin'. Mom. B flat. Title gore. On prison. Dementors. I was inside most of the time. Never got to see the roof, so I don't know what's on the prison. I could tell you plenty about what goes on in the prison, though. Dementors. The Dementors. I'm saying, grow the fuck up.